I'm I'm awake in this world. This place, it's called Namalsk. This is where I come from. This is where I grew up. But it's not where I live. I live in the real world, where I'm asleep. I know what I want. I don't know how to get it. I know where I want to be. I don't know how to get there. I know who I am. And I know I'm enough. I've been here for as long as I can remember. Glimpses of the time before, but it's been so long. To this day, little to no one else lives here. Yet here I remain. I'm overjoyed at the prospect of moving on from Namalsk. But it's not an easy task. Truth be told, I never thought I would leave. But I've grown up. And I know that this isn't the place I want to be. Our first destination is going to be Vorkuta. I haven't been there in many years. When I would come here, when the world was full of life, this was the most populated location. And what that meant was you had to be extremely cautious. There'd be another human sat upon most of these buildings. It's some big sniper rifle. And what else would they be there for if not blood sport? You'd find the food, equipment, the odd weapon inside of the buildings. But if it was loot you were after, you'd be getting that off the other players. All of these buildings are almost the same. Of course, each one has its own identity. Once you look past the video game. But in terms of their architecture, and even their culture, because the culture is almost entirely determined by the architecture, even if it's kind of hard to wrap your head around that concept. What I mean to say by that is you've been in one, you've been in them all. This one we don't even need to step inside. There. This ladder is almost an elevator. I spent quite a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to say in this video. And I still haven't figured out a lot of what I'm going to talk about. But what I want to talk about here on top of this building in Vorkuta is my experience in a mental health facility. AKA a psych ward. The reason for my admission I didn't want to be subhuman garbage that my community could unload all of their fucking shit onto. So the forces that be tried to have me eliminated. In the psych ward. I didn't have a choice in the matter. They just strapped me to a stretcher. It's not like I was being irrational. They were just like, yeah, I want you to feel this. transported to the one hospital that I had refused to go to. And then locked in a monitored room. And I had a bathroom that the camera could see. Also, they didn't give me toilet paper. There was writing all over the door. It was psychotic. And in order to leave, because it was a box that you could walk around in, but I couldn't leave without banging on the door upwards of 76 times before a nurse would let me out. So I could go to the cafeteria and get a fucking orange. I was also, not to mention, my room was the only one right next to the nursing station. So, like, I'm pretty sure they heard. I'm really not impressed with the psych ward. It did so much damage. And the reason for my admittance is completely fucking disgusting. I don't feel the need to make a publicly visible video where I vent. However, I really want to convey to you the severity of this action. The severity of this circumstance, rather. Each and every video that I make, the number one thing that I consider is, what is this going to do to my viewers' subconscious? I'm not a malicious person. However, I have become vindictive because of the actions levied against me and the quality of the people perpetrating these actions. That being said, I genuinely have your best interests in mind at heart, provided I'm okay with who you are as a person. I don't really like hurting people. just like at my core as a person. Um, but I've been pushed way too far. I didn't stay in the same room for my entire visit. The first room was horrible. And the second room was really nice because the bathroom had a door. But the temperature was a solid minus 12 Celsius indoors. Just flat, minus 12 Celsius. And where I'm getting at right now is when they moved me to my third room. I had a few hours to settle in. And this room I was to share with somebody. It was 2 beds, which I was not happy about. And I had some time to settle in. And just before the person who was meant to be my roommate arrived, one of the nurses said, Dustin, there's a much nicer room available and I want to move you there. And I was actually kind of like against this. She didn't say it like that. That's just how I think of it now. I was hesitant at first because I had been sitting here like settling in and like getting to grip with where I was to be staying. But she was like pretty insistent that I wanted to move to this other room, which I didn't really understand, but basically I didn't even have a choice. She was just like, yeah, no, you don't want to be here. You got it. We're going. We're leaving. And I accidentally didn't pick up one of my bags. So I got into the process of settling into my other room. And I was, oh, I have to go get this bag. And as I stepped into this room again, I felt just overwhelming despair. And there was somebody crying because they were denied the opportunity to torture me. And I didn't realize that. All I knew was that there was somebody who was going through an immense amount of despair, and I just was experiencing it for some reason. I don't even remember what I did, because I didn't realize why they were sad. And it was only after I left the room that I was informed why that person was sad. And the fourth room was actually really nice. The fourth room was actually really nice because I had a nice view of a mountain, which I didn't have a view in any of the other rooms. This was actually, I think, the only room in the building with a view of that mountain. There might have been one in the like upstairs "You're Here Forever" section. I don't know. And I also had a view of the garbage. So I spent about 2 weeks sitting, looking out the window, watching garbage get removed, which I was extraordinarily happy about. I'm building a social network. At the core of this project is a website. When you visit this website, there will be an account system, so you will be yourself when you're on the website, and you will be guided through our ecosystem to the extent that you are permitted. So the experience will look very different person to person. And the reason I had for starting this project was that I did not want to upload my consciousness to Meta, previously known as Facebook. And the reason for... did I miss a turn? No, it's right here. There's... The reason that other people working on this project have for being a part of it, for some it's they don't want to upload their consciousness to Meta. For others, they want the privacy that it provides. Some just want to be a part of this community. It's a very diverse group of people we have. And one of the most... I didn't need to open the map. One of the most intricate concepts that we have come up with is the idea of having a key fob which you can insert into a specifically designed physical machine. So it's in the real world. And you can insert your key fob into it, and that key fob will have the data that you put on it. But you can only interface with specific machines in the real world with this key fob. And part of this social network is going to be a media sharing platform. So when you're on either the website for some of the videos, some of the content, some of the community, and then other portions of the community you'll only be able to interface with on these physical machines in the real world. And there's going to be media that's available on these machines to everybody. There will be like a public section, and then there will be private rings where only the people that community wants on that ring will be able to interface with it. And it'll be completely private because it's only on these physical machines that your key fobs are going to work. You won't even be connected to the internet. then might be an incredibly difficult concept to wrap your head around, and that's because it should be. And now with that out of the way, I'm so fucking angry. Wow. Speed wobbles.